Thanks, welcome. All right, guys. Well, as I said, I'm gonna speak in English. So if you don't understand perfectly, then tell me to stop and I'll repeat something. Yeah. So can I go to full screen? There we go. Right. So my name's Ed. Thanks again for having me. I'm going to talk about the OpenCageData geocoder. Some of you were at a talk I gave at Geo Infinite a few months ago, so it's going to be very similar, I'm sorry to say. But a good chance for you to revisit the topic. So first off, let me say a little bit about me. You can see me over on the OpenStreetMap page. I guess it's kind of small. Most of the mapping I've ever done is in central London, where I used to live. I joined OpenStreetMap quite a long time ago, 2006. I'm not really the most active mapper, but my background is I kind of got into the scene early in the history of OpenStreetMap back in London, and I had a company, an internet company that did real estate search called Nestoria, and we were one of the first companies to use OpenStreetMap kind of commercially. So we were one of the very first companies to use OpenStreetMap maps on our website, OpenStreetMap tiles and things. And so we've always been kind of very active. We used to sponsor some of the very first mapping parties when it was literally like Steep Coast, in central London. So that's kind of my background. Then about 4 months ago, something changed. These are my kids. This is us mapping. So we moved here to Barcelona about 4 months ago, so I'm still learning the city and the language. So great to be here though, and great to see that there's such an active community and that there's a good scene going on. So in terms of what I do now, at the real estate website that I had, we had to do a lot of geocoding, and we did that for many different countries, not just in the UK. But also countries like India and Brazil, where it's very difficult to get geodata, to get high quality geodata. I don't know if any of you have ever been to India or places like that, but they don't really have addresses. They don't really. The maps are terrible, and we were trying to geocode lots of real estate listings. So we started using OpenStreetMap heavily to try to do this, and we built our own geocoder to do that. And then after a while, we thought maybe we would open that up as a service to others, and that eventually became the OpenCage geocoder. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the problem that we try to solve with our geocoder. I guess many of you come from a geo background, so maybe you're familiar with this, but a lot of times people don't really even understand what a geocoder is. So the fundamental question that we try to help people with is, where are we? So, and actually, it sounds like a very, very easy question to answer, but it's not, because if we go around this room, so that is actually where we are sitting right now, right? And if I want to know exactly where I am, I have longitude and latitude, right? And it's very, very precise. We know exactly where we are. There's only one problem with longitude and latitude. It means nothing to a human, okay? So a human can't make any sense out of this and just looks at it as what the hell is that? So humans like to use names for places. So if I ask where we are and I go around the room and I say, where are we? One person might say Barcelona, but the next person might say Barcelona, and the next person might say this postcode, and the next person might say all these different things, right? And all of these are correct, but they're all very different. And so this creates a big problem because people have lots and lots of names for the same place, right? And so what a geocoder tries to do, and the big problem is for a computer, that's very difficult to deal with because we have all these different names, and for a human, you kind of know what that means, but the computer has a very hard time understanding that. Computer wants very, very precise instructions, like longitude and latitude. So what we try to do with the geocoder is you have the name of a place, and we turn that into a longitude, latitude. And if you go that way, it's called forward geocoding. If you go that way, it's called reverse geocoding. And what we work on and try to do is provide a service that lets people do this, right? So, of course, the obvious question is that you might say is there are lots of people who do this. Of course, Google does a very good job at it. Many millions, billions of people use Google. You type addresses in their place names into Google Maps, and it does a great job. It does a fantastic job. But the problem is, of course, it's not open, and the terms and conditions are very, very restrictive. If you do geocoding with Google, you have to show it on a Google map. And if you want to do lots of geocoding, it's very expensive. It depends on which country you're in. In some countries, they charge a lot of money. In some countries, they still give it away for free. But generally, it's very expensive. So you might say, well, fantastic. That was why we have OpenStreetMap, right? So OpenStreetMap solves this problem. And you're correct. OpenStreetMap absolutely solves this problem. But the only problem is OpenStreetMap does provide a free geocoding service, Nominatum, but it's not designed for high volume use because it's just run by volunteers, and if you query it too quickly, then they'll turn you off. Obviously, OpenStreetMap in some areas is fantastic. It is the absolute best geodata you can get, but in other areas, it's not good enough yet. And if you want to, you can also get your own copy of the OpenStreetMap data and run your own geocoder. The software is open source, but then you have to know a lot about being a system administrator. You have to have your own computers. It's a big pain, right? And it's not everyone is able to do that or wants to do that. So we looked at all these problems, and we thought maybe there's an opportunity for us to be kind of in the middle. So what we try to do is we say, we try to combine the best of both worlds. So our API for geocoding, it goes to many different geocoders behind the scenes. OpenStreetMap, but also others. The data is open data, so it's free to use. You can store it, you can cache it, you can show the results on any map that you want. And we try to focus quite a lot on being very, very friendly for developers. So good documentation, very easy to get started. And that's one of the big complaints with the OpenStreetMap project is that lots of people like to go out and do mapping, and it's a lot of fun, and you have a mapping party and you meet all the people. Not everyone likes to write documentation. And so a lot of the documentation is good, but it might be out of date, it might not be complete, so it can be hard, as I'm sure many of you know if you've tried to do things with various bits of OpenStreetMap software. So basically what we do is you send a request to our API, and then behind the scenes we look at a bunch of different geocoders. And we try to, based on which country you're in and based on the nature of the request, and all of these are kind of open geocoders, and then we send that back. And so you have the benefit of having one API, well documented, clean and simple, able to use it at very high volume, but you also get open data and all that. And that's it. That's basically our business. As I said, you can use any map you want. You can use it on an OpenStreetMap source. You can use it on a Google map if you want. Of course, you have to obey OpenStreetMap, be within the OpenStreetMap license, but that's very generous. You can cache it. When you find a mistake, you can fix it. All the benefits of OpenStreetMap. And basically, it enables you to be creative, unlike with Google. There are very restrictive terms. So, we try to focus a lot on being very easy to use for developers and try to solve some of the common problems that developers have. So if you look at generally, if you look at kind of easy to painful and closed to open, basically we try to be up there. So Google is very, very easy to use because it's well documented, but it's very closed, right? And OpenStreetMap is completely open, but it's not always so easy to use, and you can't use it at a high volume. And so we are trying to be up there. So that's the game we're trying to play. Let's see if we're doing a good job. So again, here are the coordinates of where we are. One example one example of how we're trying to be dev friendly is a very common use case is you have coordinates, particularly if you're on a phone. The phone has coordinates, and you want to show the user where he is in your app. But if you go to OpenStreetMap and use OpenStreetMap's Nominatum, you get back a response like this. So you can see that is a completely correct response, but it's not exactly the way local humans expect to see this address. So if you go to denominatum, you get back a bunch of structured information like this that mappers have put in. And you'll see all of this is very, very correct information, right? The problem is it's too much information, right? Like it's not what people expect. If you just show this to a person, it's designed for a computer, not for a human. So what we do, for example, is we add a formatted string that has the information, tries to show the address the way a human would expect. So some of the information we leave out. For example, I don't know why, but someone entered county BCN, right? So I guess that's correct, but it's not something you would expect in your address, right? A person expects an address to look like this, right? And this is actually not a trivial problem, because in different countries, addresses look very, very different. In some countries, they have postcodes. In some countries, they don't have postcodes. In some countries, you have state codes. And so it's very different in the different countries. And so this is one of the examples of something that we do in our service by formatting it to make it look correct. Hopefully we're providing a benefit to the developer, and he doesn't have to deal with that at all, especially if you're making a service that's used around the world, where in multiple countries it can be a big pain in the ass. And actually many, many big companies don't get this correct. So here's an example of, on Foursquare, I think, of something, or no, this is Airbnb. I went to Berlin last year, and you can see in their address here, they show Berlin, Berlin, right? And this is because in the United States, you have city, state, zip code, right? But this makes no sense in Germany. That's not how they do the addresses in Germany. So if you're German, and you look at this, it immediately says this is an American company that doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't make sense, right? So instead, it should just say, well, it should have the postcode and then just say Berlin, right? Or, for example, on Twitter, I was in Berlin last year, and the same thing, they show Berlin, Berlin, which is, again, city, state. But no German would ever say this. It doesn't make sense. You would just say Berlin, right? And these are very small details, but there are things that is very hard to get right all across the world if you have a developer who doesn't know the entire world. And it's the type of thing that, again, it causes your user to say, what is this like? So, in the game of building apps, usability is becoming increasingly important, and it's very important to get these types of little details correct. But it's a very, very hard problem because the world is a really, really chaotic place, and there's a lot going on. So if you'd like to help us on that, it's of course open source. It's called address formatting. And actually, we're starting to get more and more people contributing. So you can help us by putting in some tests and things like that. Help us get better. Please do. The other thing that we do that we try to help people with is, instead of just returning results, like just returning geodata and a formatted name, we try to return a lot of other information that people might find useful, that developers might find useful. So for example, what time zone is the location in? When is sunset or sunrise? All kinds of other formats like geohashes, or there are all these other different formats that different geo software uses. What 3 words is another example of a new geographic system that we integrate. Phone calling codes, country-specific things. So in the United Kingdom, the Ordnance Survey, they don't use longitude and latitude, they use their own grid graphs. And so it's a very common problem that in the United Kingdom, you have longitude and latitude and you have to turn it into a grid graph. And rather than making the developer to reinvent this wheel again and again and again, we just do it for you. And in that way, we try to be easier for the user. So here's an example of our location right now. If you go to our site and you type that in, you get something like this, and you see we provide a direct link to OpenStreetMap. We tell you the geohash, we tell you the time of sunset and sunset, the time zone, all these different things. You don't need to do any of that. We've already done it for you. Okay, so if you have suggestions for annotations that you'd like us to add, or things that would make it easier as a developer to use our geocoder, please tell us. That's how we decide what to work on. So any feedback you have. In terms of what's next with our project, we started about a year ago, but we're still kind of in beta, mainly because we've been very busy with other things. But now, ever since I moved here, we've started to focus a bit more on it. So we're going to come out of beta quite soon. We already have quite a few customers who are using us at very high volume, like 500,000 or 1 million queries a day, and they're paying us to do that. So if you'd like to use us, we will gladly take your money. It's very affordable. We keep working on formatting and annotations. We're trying to work a lot on thinking about how we could create a better feedback loop to OpenStreetMap. So how could we help people when there are bugs in the data that they could then fix it themselves right away in OpenStreetMap. And this is actually one of the major complaints that we hear from our customers about proprietary data service, is that they have no way to fix it, right? And then they're on a very slow release cycle. And even companies like Google, which has Google MapMaker, if you make a change in Google MapMaker, who knows when it's going to get live? You know, it can take months or years, and many people complain about that. So whereas with OpenStreetMap, if you fix it, it's live immediately, and it's on our site in a day. So we're working on making that simpler, of course. And if anyone has suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to check it out, it's live, OpenCageData.com. You can sign up, start geocoding. You get several thousand requests per day for free, so please check it out. There's also a demo on the page. And you can this is the team. Does anyone know where this picture was taken? Come on, you can't be GeoGeeks and not know this. Do you know what this is? The Prime Meridian. That is the Prime Meridian. That is 0 in London. So this is the team. That was when we started. That's Gary, that's Mark Tobias, that's me. Gary though actually doesn't work with us anymore, but that was when we first launched. That was our team outing. We went to the Prime Meridian to celebrate the launch. If you'd like to stay informed, we're on Twitter, we have a blog. On our blog, we try to do lots of interviews with people from the OpenStreetMap community around the world. So we do a series where we interview people about how OpenStreetMap is in their country and things like that. I think we did one about OpenStreetMap in Catalonia. Also, if you want to know more about me, that's me. As I said, I just moved to Barcelona, so I'm trying to find people to hang out with and to meet. So if you're ever I live in Poblano, if you want to meet up for a beer and talk about geo stuff, I'd love to meet with you. Some other stuff that I do that's also might be relevant to this audience, very briefly, is so if you ever go to London, I run an event in London called GeoMob. Our next one is in January. You can check out our site. It's become quite a big event. They're usually like 60 or 70 people, and we have a bunch of different people talking about interesting geo things. Some from OpenStreetMap, but also other things as well. So it's a good event. If you'd like to come, please check it out. I do some investing in geo startups. So one of them is What 3 Words, which is kind of an alternate way of expressing location that's more human friendly. They're based in London. Another one is splash maps, which I brought along some splash maps to show people. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but splash map is basically it's a map designed for the outdoors. So you can take it out if you can wear it like this. It's OpenStreetMap. It's printed OpenStreetMap. You can get it muddy and wet. You can pass it around. Show a lot of people. It's pretty cool. You can go to the website. You can get anywhere you want. So it's a very nice gift for someone who's into the outdoors or just for mapping and stuff. It started in the UK, so here's another one if you want. Some of them are OpenStreetMap based. Here you go. But the whole idea is you can't destroy it. You can draw on it, and you can if you're out on a mountain bike ride, you can. The batteries never run out. It's a very good souvenir if you do a big hike or whatever. So if you're looking for a gift for someone who likes mapping, then that's a good gift. And so in the UK it uses Ordnance Survey data, but everywhere else in the world it uses OpenStreetMap data. So check it out. If you have an idea for another geo business, I'd love to talk with you. So please get in touch. And I think that's it. So hopefully that wasn't too long and too boring. And so if you have any questions, then yeah.
Okay, here in Spain, in Catalonia, there's not a lot of cities and towns that has house numbers. So when you try to find a place, maybe it's good to have the junction between two streets.
Gotcha.
In Passeig, Salvatore Passeig, no? Junction with Ginevra Street.
Right. So like where the intersection is. Yeah, so yes, that exists in several countries, not just here. And especially in some cities in the U.S., a lot of people do that. Like in New York, they say, at the intersection of 4th and 27th or whatever. Yeah, I mean, so that's a good example of a case that we need to get better at understanding. It's very hard because obviously there are different things in different countries of how people want to search. In our case, we always have the question of, so if you go back to our very complex technical diagram here, let me find it. All we are really doing is passing the query on to any one of these different softwares. So the question is really on a situation like that, where if someone searches by like 2 street intersections, how do we understand it? The question is, should we be understanding that, or should the software behind it be understanding it? And our approach right now is that the software behind it should be understanding. So that could be nominatum. It could be, there are a lot of people offering new OpenStreetMap-based geocoders like Mapzen in the US. And probably the place to make that fix would be in nominatum or in the other geocoder and try to better understand it. So I guess the main thing, the best way to help us there would be provide a few examples, and then we work on our software, we also work on nominatum a lot. So we're making fixes to nominatum all the time. So if you can provide good examples, then it's about having test cases and then saying, okay, if this comes in, the correct answer is that, and then building the software to understand it. Usually with geocoding, it's not, like, the process of geocoding is not that complicated. It's about having the right examples, and then also hoping that someone gives us, it's very hard given the input that we get, because if someone just puts 2 streets, but they don't tell us this is in Spain or whatever, it's very difficult. Also, there are many duplicate names. Frankly, Spain or Spanish is a nightmare for that, because everywhere you go, there's like Santiago, it's a nightmare, because there are so many different places that have the same name. So it's a challenge. Basically, we just need more examples. Give us examples, and we'll work on it. Double. So, but please get involved. I mean, all of these projects are open source, and we would love if you can provide examples and things, then it can definitely happen. So, anyone else? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have another one. Right now as the CGC, the National Mapping Agency, we have a project going on. We have created a platform for editing maps online. And we are thinking of adding geocoding.
Sure.
But before we address geocoding to our platform, can we use OpenCageData right now for free?
Can you use it?
Can we use it?
Yeah, you can gladly use it. So for free, you can do 2,500 queries a day, or you can become a customer and do a lot more, and it's not expensive. I mean, our customers were charging like $100 a month for a pretty high volume. I mean, it depends on what volume you want, but yes, we would love to have you as a customer.
Yeah.
So happy to talk with you, of course. And then, we would love you as a customer. We would love also to have your feedback on like what gets better, or because I mean, to be honest, the world is a crazy place. As I said, I have no idea how addresses work all over the world. The only way we're going to get better is if someone cares and comes with feedback and examples and then we fix it. And obviously, whoever's a paying customer, that's the person we're going to fix first. So, I mean.
And then regarding the intersectional question, you could provide as an answer that you could add the data of the geofencing around that address. So OpenCage could add some data that reads the next intersection or the closest intersection, that one, or the address between these streets and these others.
Sure.
Placing a geofence around the address.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, for us, the challenge is always, we would love to do that. The issue is always we're a small team, right? And so we got to pick which areas to do first, but please, let's start. I mean, happy to. Or, our preference would be, it's more for us about helping people put the data into OpenStreetMap or whatever, or in some other open format. It's not like, we don't want data just for us. I mean, like, we don't want to become a proprietary data source. What we want is the data should be in the open, and we are our thin service layer. That's the only thing that we're really capable of doing. But yes, we would love to have you as a customer. We'd love to have you as a contributor to helping us improve the data for everyone.
So, do you have any, have you thought about providing not only the actual address, but batch addresses, streets that change names, locations that have?
I mean, in general, we would like to provide all information that is useful. The question is always, what is useful, what's not useful, what, but, you know, it just depends on the case. I mean, anything that's useful, we would like to provide for people.
It could be because maybe suddenly they change the name of a street, and okay, now you can provide this new name, but all the people maybe knows the previous name and don't know the new name, so it may be useful for a while to get information on the name.
Sure.
So.
I mean, please, let's get into
the
the details of an example, and then happy to look at it. Sure. It's a tricky question because some people want absolute, like, again, going, it's interesting because some people want all the data. They want tons and tons of data, and they want all the annotations. Other people, like some of our customers, they say, I throw everything away that you send back, and the only thing I use is this. So they don't care about all the data. So we need to balance, you can go very, very deep, or you can go very simple. And right now, most of the people that are paying us, they want simple. They just want the simple ability to show someone on the phone where they are. But happy to explore any and all use cases. I mean, we're continually trying to make it better, so please come with suggestions. So, anyone else? Or?
That's it.
All right, well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much.